out of left field, everybody. I'm your host, Abby Alonso, and I've got Mr. Ryan Moore with us today, owner of the Florida Vibe. He's the spokesperson for the Professional Softball League, which is about to kick off their inaugural season. He's all up in summer ball. We're going to touch a little bit of everything, but we got to pause and start at the beginning because where did you come from and how did you get here?
Well, first of all, Abby, thanks for having me. It's been, great watching you grow on social media too, and thanks for all you do for the game as well.
Thank you.
So my start's, I don't know, it's boring kind of, I guess. But, I was a baseball player, and I'm an old fart now, but started out in baseball. I actually had two boys. I didn't have any daughters.
Wow.
So that's very interesting how I got in the game of softball, and I had two boys. My oldest son played collegiately and professionally as well. During his collegiate time, here on the west coast of Florida, we're about an hour south of Tampa in Clearwater, if you're familiar with the Bradenton, Sarasota area.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was never, believe it or not, there's about, 60 to 70 collegiate baseball wooden bat leagues around America for the guys. Of course, the guys have everything, right, Abby?
Yep. Oh,
and
yes.
so, yeah. And so, believe it or not, here on the West Coast, he's even as prevalent as college baseball is here in the Tampa Bay area. There was never a collegiate summer bat league for the baseball here. So we decided that we would start the Florida Gulf Coast League. So the Florida Gulf Coast League started out. Today we still have 7 teams here in the FGCL baseball division. So we started that one back in 2018 and 19, and that's where my son played. And then in 2020, obviously COVID hit. But in 2019, my son was playing for a JUCO here locally, and my wife went to a baseball game, and lo and behold, we're sitting up in the bleachers watching him play third base. He's a third baseman, so he's playing third base. And where we played, the softball field is basically across his parking lot.
Right.
And so a bunch of the softball players, after their game, came over to the baseball game to watch the game. And they literally sat down in front of me and my wife, Chandra, and there's 6 or 7 of them watching the baseball game. So my wife goes, hey, because they were talking about things they were doing, this year and off-season stuff. And so my wife said, hey, do you think they do anything summer ball like it you guys do for baseball? And I said, honey, I don't have any idea. I've watched the College World Series, and that's it.
Right.
In fact, Jesse Warren's my favorite player of all time because when I first started watching the World Series, Jesse Warren makes the catch of life.
Yep.
And I tell her, in fact, we become good friends today. We're good friends now. And so it's like, I always tell her, I said, you're the reason why softball exists in my life. It wasn't for you. And she tears up and cries, and I think it's great. She's still my favorite player. Well, Taylor Pleasance is getting close, but But so anyway, so I went home and Googled, college summer softball, and I couldn't find anything on the internet, zero. So I thought, wait a second, we live in paradise here. We already do the baseball, so why don't we announce softball? So I called the accountant and said, hey, this is what we're doing. So we started the Florida Gulf Coast League 2 division, which is softball. And lo and behold, I made one post. I had no idea. I didn't know a single coach, didn't know a single player, didn't know nothing. But one tweet, it was on. And here we are, 2026, starting our 7th college summer season of the FGCL. And we went from 6 teams to now we have 14 teams.
Wow.
It's
incredible.
Nuts. And that's just the Florida Gulf Coast League. And in 2021, that was the year, though. 2021 was crazy. That's the year we had Riley Boone, Mac Leonard, Haley Lee, Michaela Infield. I mean, you name it, they were all here. It was the who's who. And it's crazy because a lot of those girls were younger in college at that age, and they were just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
And so us old baseball players, so I tell this story a lot, like, especially the girls, they go, well, I had a hard season, played 50 games, and I don't know the summer, da-da-da. So I'm old now, but back in 1989, 90, 91, when I played college baseball for UCF, I remember I threw almost 100 innings my sophomore year. My coach still made me go play summer ball.
Oh my God.
So that's the way it was for us.
Oh.
So when I hear like, oh, I don't know if I have enough in the tank, I'm like, oh no, you would never made it back in our day.
Right.
But It's a little different. Now, keep in mind, we had the pro league, and everybody's looking for the pro angle in baseball. And the softball didn't have that until recently, so I understand. I get it. You're playing for the Olympics or national. I get it. So baseball is a little different because of the pro league and minor league systems and things like that. Back in 21, though, I remember getting a call from the Jamie Lowfries from she worked for USA at the time, AAA or USSSA, and she said, "Hey, the Pride is looking for some games during COVID. What do you think about playing?" And then I got a call from Team Mexico and Team Canada. I didn't know who these people were. So they said, "Can we come over and play the FGCL?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And everybody's like punching me in the back going, "You know who that is on the mound?" Like, "Who?" "That's Danielle Laurie." I'm like, "Well, who's Danielle Laurie?" They're like, "That's Vic Hayward out there in right field." I'm going, "Who's Vic Hayward?" Like, I don't know.
You didn't know
and then,
that.
of course, hey, that's Lonnie Alameda. She's a pitching coach. She's walking across. Like, okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until 21 when I started to really grasp what God has done for us.
Yep.
And then the protein, the vibe was created in that era. And that's where I come from. So it was really just a business opportunity at first. But I'll tell you the story about really what inspired me about the girls.
Yeah.
Was during COVID, and of course we were the wild West here in Florida during COVID, right? Yeah. we break every rule in Florida. But we were like the only state around that was open for business, and we were literally 2 weeks away from the governor making a decision whether or not we were going to play activities or not in the summer. And thankfully, Governor DeSantis opened up the state and we were able to play. However, Manatee County and Sarasota County had all these different rules and, hey, you got to wear a bunch of masks and clean up, and you can't have cups in the dugout, and you can't share this. And and there wasn't like a testing protocol yet, but we encouraged, kids to get tested and things like that. And we were careful with staff and how we wipe. Long story short, we had about 15 to 16 dudes that were playing baseball say, "Hey, coach, I got COVID. I tested positive this morning. My mom and dad said I got to come home and quarantine for 2 weeks, and I'm going home." And and I said, "Well, how do you feel?" "Well, I feel fine. I tested positive." Like, okay, got to go home, I guess. We had about 15 or 16 of those dudes. We had 75 softball players. I didn't hear a peep out of them all summer. Zero.
No, of course not, because there was an opportunity. They're not going to throw that to the wind. No, oh yeah, I love that.
And I asked one of the girls. I said, "Did you we probably had COVID. We didn't care." No way. We were telling you if we had COVID or not.
Absolutely.
And I go, "Well, you guys didn't even complain about stuff." And they're like, "Oh, hey, no." And I said, "You know what? The girls are tougher than the boys." So I right there. And it was a sheer fact that they didn't have what we had. We had been spoiled rotten and they hadn't. And they finally had something that they could call their own.
Yep.
And I realized at that moment it was time to get in the pro level somehow. At the time, there was only the USSSA Pride. In fact, we incorporated in 21, August 2nd, the day after the Olympics, and then AU came after us. So we've been at it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Not much, but we incorporated in 2021, and it was just the Pride at that time. And, and here we are 5 years later for the Vibe as well. God has just been – I don't even begin to tell you the stories because it's all God's story, to be honest with you. That's my story. It's God's story.
I love that. I love that quote. You're all over softball, and we're watching this sport explode and finally get the flowers that it deserves. You've had a huge hand in that, but you're a baseball guy, and diving into the softball world and trying to get players and coaches and front office people to buy in, was that tough, or did you fully have all the support you needed and the trust immediately?
No, that's a great question. It's a great question because it kind of goes both ways. And what I mean by that, in the baseball world, I was actually, when I was done playing, I was a scout for the Seattle Mariners for a little bit. And I remember going to ballparks and college coaches, you would think, hey, you're scouting my kid to play Major League Baseball or whatever. And you would think, you'd be welcomed opportunity, but not all the time. College coaches would be standoffish. Hey, don't talk to my guy. Hey, he's playing in the season, and a lot of that has changed now. With all the things we didn't have cell phones back in those days. So things have changed a little bit. But honestly, in softball, I found it to be exact opposite. What I mean by that is I remember one of the very first college coaches I met was, actually the very first person I met was Michelle Smith. When I first started the Florida Gulf Coast softball division, I knew a friend that knew Michelle Smith, and she lives in Clearwater, about 45 minutes from here. And so I had heard that she's kind of standoffish about like talking about investments and things like all kinds of stuff. And so I said, well, I mean, she's famous. So, and I didn't really know other than she was ESPN person, right? But she agreed to meet with me for lunch. So I sat down there for a couple hours up there, and I told her my plan. And she said, hey, you got my blessing, let's roll. And she started introducing me to college coaches. And then one of the, some of the ones I early met was Larissa Anderson from Mizzou, Richardson from Liberty, Lonnie Alameda. I mean, Kenny Jaski was also the Clearwater Invitational back in 2021 was kind of a 2022. I meant was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
To me, actually, I'm sorry. In 2020, it was COVID, and then the season got short, right? And I went to the Clearwater Invitational right before the season got short, and that's when I started meeting all the college coaches. And Kenny, I can't say enough things about Kenny Jaski. One of the greatest men in the game. Love the guy. Of course, Richardson's Richardson. But then I got to meet, others, Tim Walton and Lonnie. Lonnie's another unbelievable human being too. The reason I bring that up is because I remember being at the ESPN Invitational, and of course, it's a little bit different now. They lock you off and you can't get spectators and stuff and things. But I remember Lonnie Alameda said, Ryan, come on, it's game time. Like the game's going to start in like 20 minutes. She's like, come in the dugout. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I want you to meet Emma and Danielle. They need to play in your summer league. And lo and behold, I didn't know Danielle Watson was going to be my future daughter-in-law, by the way. She married my son.
Gosh.
But I didn't know that
That's
at the
so
time.
awesome.
I know, right? So God let me see a little glimpse of the future, not even know it. So literally in the dugout, and she's like, hey, meet so-and-so, meet Joe Muffley, meet da-da-da-da. Anyway, so, and then she said, hey, here's Kenny Jaski, and Kenny's walking by, and then Larissa's walking by, and I started meeting all these people, and then Richardson grabs me and takes me in the dugout and like, here, meet so-and-so. In baseball, we have never done that. Never, ever, ever in a million years would I said, hey, come on in here, but pre-game, forget about it. They're getting ready to play a game.
Yeah.
And since then, the college coaches, in my opinion, for me, have been all warming. I don't have Coach Marissa from Duke is one of my best buddies. It's so different than baseball. The coaches have been really welcoming to what we're doing from the college league standpoint, because they realize that, I don't know if they realized it at the time, but 7 years into it, the league is now affecting championship games and affecting athletes at a faster pace. I think we have over 53 or 54 athletes that have been through the leagues that are participating in College World Series. So at some point in time, people are going to understand that it is a science. Your Riley Boones of the world, if they play faster as a freshman, sophomore, you increase their opportunity to get better. And now she wins, 4 national championships? Yeah. I'm not saying the league did it. I'm just saying the league was there to help expedite the players that had the talent that needed the game reps to get it, so it affected the program's future. That's what it's about.
Absolutely, 100%, because those reps they did not exist before the league, and that is huge and vital for a player's development, especially, I mean, you're name dropping so many softball players who I recognize, but would we have recognized them if they didn't get an opportunity to continue to play over the summer in a league that you created? And then spinning off of that, you want to talk about opportunity. I mean, look at the Professional Softball League, and I want to pick your brain on this, because you did mention that AU started and they've got the AUSL rolling over there. Sure. So what drove the decision to create the PSL inaugural season? What was the, we're going to do this, we're going to create more opportunity. What did that decision-making process look like?
Well, for me, again, year 5 for me, right? So it's a little bit different for me. I grew up in the Pride era where there was just the USSSA Pride and us. AU came along, and you got to remember, they were a different format before than they were the AUSL. Yep. They were more of a point series type, along with basketball and volleyball and lacrosse, right? So obviously that format was different than, let's say, a team concept.
Absolutely.
Right? It just was. And that's the reality. So we went at this at more of a grassroots effort. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but I grew up on a farm, but we have farmland that's now being developed into a sports complex, which I'm sure you're going to ask me some questions.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had this plan in my brain, passion in my heart to say, look, if one day we're going to build this facility and we're going to have baseball and softball. And I'm thinking pro team, right? Grassroots, community base, people coming to the games, selling popcorn and hot dogs, buying T-shirts and Apple Jacks, right? So that was the kind of the plan. I'm like, okay, Lord, you gave me the opportunity to start the Vibe, so let's start the Vibe. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I didn't have a clue. I didn't have the USSSA Pride. And the same as today, like, kudos to AU for recognizing, I think they did, at least in my opinion, I can't speak for everybody, but I think they recognized a couple years ago or a year ago when more independent teams started to come into fruition, the Oklahoma Spark, the New York Rise, even the Chattanooga Steam, which was a one-year hit wonder, but the Texas Smoke, now Atlanta Smoke, when they started to see those teams all grassrooting it, right? I think they needed to make a change to become more of a league type of format, because that's kind of what the communities want. Absolutely. And so kudos to them for recognizing that. Whenever I'm asked a question about AU, and you'll see some of the social media comments that I see, they're crazy. I'm not even sure people have any education sometimes.
I could go on and on and on about the social media comments. Trust me, I get it.
But yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, you guys don't have a clue what you're talking about,
right?
But it's okay, and I don't ever respond. By the way, I don't respond to anything.
No, you can't.
But no, kudos to AU for recognizing that format. Now look what's happening. They went from 4 teams to 6, and I think next year they're going to 8, and they're creating. They had a draft, and it's really becoming full circle for them too. Right. Where I think it's their premier sport now. I think they have. Do they still have some other sports?
Yes, they still do volleyball and basketball as well. AU, yep.
Okay, so I think softball is the premier. I don't know. I think it's their league, league only type of status. But anyway, so we're just the idea of the Vibe was more of a community outreach program, and then we said, okay. As we went year to year, you look at sustainability and economics and things like that, these other teams were trying to figure it out too. So collaboration-wise, obviously we all talk to each other about scheduling games. Hey, do you want to come to my place? Do you want to go to my place, your place, Hey, who are you using? What kind of uniforms do you have? I mean, all this dialogue, right? And through the dialogue over the last few years, you start to build, reputation. You start to build, relationship with these folks. And so at the end of the day, what we did was, I think we had to answer some tough questions. The independent teams, like, okay, what's the end game? What's the end game for you? And so the more that I think teams started to answer that question, the more I think everybody realized that to sustain what we're doing on the independent side, we had to collaborate together, and therefore the PSL, the Professional Softball League, was born. And of course, we spent all July, August, September, October planning for it. We knew what we were going to do internally, and then we launched at the NFCA, like everybody launches everything at the NFCA. And then here we are today with the AWSN TV deal, the True TV stuff. We have, again, just the doors have opened, the floodgates are here, and so that was what we did. We just feel like, I think now that we're a league and not just independent, to give the girls more than just playing games. Yes. I think it gives them a sense of there's a growth in the game now financially. I don't know about every other team, but financially our compensation has grown every year for the player. Number 2, there's more teams to play. You have more, different, like, what I'm saying? You're not playing everybody twice in one day.
Yes.
And then, and I think also it's great opportunity for people who are sitting on the sideline going, man, I thought about starting a pro team. I'm thinking about starting that. But now there's a league. Okay, maybe that's what I'll do. Right. And so it's starting to, and I'll tell you this, breaking news, that there's been 3 approval PSL expansions for 27 already. Come on. So we're a little bit different corporation setup than, let's say, AU. AU is obviously a, couple executive driven corporation that owns everything. We are, like, our teams are owned by individuals and the communities, and our league is literally member based. In other words, not one single person has more shares than the other guy or girl.
Love it. So
it's truly that's where some of the leagues got in trouble because of, you talk about the old leagues of the old days. You become kind of top heavy. People start disagreeing with each other. Yep. Hey, I can do it better than you. Screw you. I'm talking about. Yeah. Kind of like travel ball.
Yeah. Oh God.
So,
and that's kind of where I wanted to go with this of like,
sure.
it is not a secret that the history of professional softball, there has not been too much success. We're seeing things kind of turn around,
Right.
but what is the PSL doing different, or what has the league learned from what's happened with Pride and the teams or the leagues that have come before that's going to, hopefully be sustainable?
Sure. Well, first of all, we had to start a league. Number one, we had to like show that we could all get along in the same sandbox.
Yep.
Okay, that was number one. Number two is like when you put the foundation together, what is the foundation? How is it structured, share like in total shares? Is it equal opportunities for everybody? And then you got to put a package together and say, hey, look, if you're a new expansion team, you're gonna have to adhere to A, B, and C, and D. Hey, you're gonna have to sign a 3-year deal or 2-year deal with the league. You're gonna have to have so much capital, and oh, by the way, there might be an initiation fee. Yep. So put your money where your mouth is. So when you put those bedrocks in place, it's going to scare away the teams or people who, I just want to start a team.
Right.
But it's also now going to bring in more serious people. And now you start looking at investors. Until we were a league, now don't be wrong, the Mizunos, the Evo Shields, they were always good. They're still good to us. And they do help out a lot. They really do. Now that we're a league, now we're getting calls from people we would have never gotten a call from when we were just our single base company. Now people want the TV deal. Now they want advertisement. Now they want, these are good problems to have. But we understand we have to walk before we run, and we understand that we have to be better organized and equipped to think about 5 years and 10 years down the road than we did as independent teams.
Yep.
And I think that's what we're going through year one. Year one is year one, right? Year one, we're just making it work and making it stick. But what people don't see is all the organization and all the things going into it now that really is about year 2, 3, 4, and 5, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And we're putting in those foundation building blocks now so we can sustain ourselves 5 years down the road. And that's what people don't get to see just yet.
Right. But it goes back to what you said earlier. You're collaborating versus competing, and look at the opportunities and the doors that open when you start to lean into collaborating and everybody working together to create more opportunity for these female athletes versus competing for whatever reason. It's a game changer.
Sure.
I do want to go back. You mentioned it, and I was coming full circle to it, but you've got farmland that you are developing fields on. You could have done a lot of different things with that land. Why was the decision to create a space for athletes?
Well, first of all, my wife was a tennis athlete. I was a baseball athlete. My sons were baseball athletes.
No brainer. Right.
My dad was, he wanted to be an athlete, but he was a farmer instead. But he and my mom just, again, those days were different back when I was growing up because we lived on 600 acres at the time and we were dairy farmers. People don't know this about me, but I milk cows, 1,000 cows twice a day,
Wow.
And we didn't have, and people don't know that, but, not only, feeding the cows, but the small baby calves have to be bottle fed, and tractors get broken down and tractors got to be fixed. We cut our own grass, we cut our own crops, we dig our own fences. I mean, it's 7 days a week, 365, no vacations. And so that's how I fell in love with baseball, was to get out of work. Like, hey, Dad, I got practice today on Saturday. I can't work. But over the years, Mom and Dad, when the dairy business started to kind of change around here with real estate and things like that, Mom and Dad started selling off a lot of the land. My mom, unfortunately, got sick in her later life, and she's no longer with us anymore. But during those years, my dad really wanted to take her around the country and the world to see the things that my mom always wanted to see, that the farm life he could never escape that because of the work. So started to downsize a lot to help my mom, kind of experience that. And so we always, so they sold a lot of it, and my mom and dad did. And then my dad said, hey, you're the only son in the family, so you're going to, this is yours. What do you want to do with it? And I said, well, are you done like selling it to developers? Like, are we ready to, do you have enough now? Are we good? Can we, so absolutely. So the 52 acres is prime. We're 10 minutes from the interstate, and we connect 3 counties together on the east corridor of Manatee, Sarasota County. So my wife's a pickleball freakazoid. She was a tennis. She's a tennis Hall of Famer from Stanford University. She Conference Player of the Year back in college. So she got into pickleball world. So we built 6 pickleball courts, and we already have that in operation. The beach, we have sand beach volleyball in operation. We have my son who left, and when he got released from the Rockies, we decided to build a batting cage system behind volleyball. So we have that. So we have tunnels going on right now. And then he got married to Danielle Watson, star pitcher from Florida State. They met with the Vibe back in 22.
Wow.
Now they're married, and she now does pitching lessons here at the complex. So I guess what I'm seeing, you see all the stepping stones from my family inheritance up to the game today, and how God has kind of made every move and every piece kind of work out the way it's working out. And I don't know what the future holds, but obviously we're building the five-plex of softball / baseball fields. They're convertible fields. They're all AstroTurf. Our stadium field will handle a little over 2,000 butts in the seats, so we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Our goal is to have a lot of tournaments running, nonstop softball-wise, and bringing the pro teams in there for the fan experience, and sell a lot of hot dogs and popcorn and Cokes and having a good old time playing the game. That's the plan.
Yes. That sounds like a great time. I will absolutely be buying a seat over there. But I want to
get a
little.
Come on, anytime.
I'm trust me. As soon as it goes, I will have it on the calendar. Make my way over there. But I want to get a little
Memorial
deep
Day
here.
Weekend, 27 is the grand opening.
So I should put it on my calendar now. I got you. We'll plan a year out.
Yeah, this year the Vibe are playing there, obviously, because it's literally under construction as we speak. But in 27, our schedule will be at the new stadium.
Done. I'll be there next summer. But you mentioned that your wife was a professional athlete. Your daughter-in-law is Danielle Watson. What does it mean to you to have such a huge role in expanding a professional league for women's sports?
I don't know if I've ever actually sat down enough to even think about it, to be honest with you. I feel like, I don't know. I actually haven't given one thought of that, really, to be honest with you. I don't think about that stuff. I'm such a guy on the run that
You're just
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I just when I'm in the front seats of the wedding watching my son get married to Danielle, I realize why God does it. I guess that's the best way, the view I can say it. So when I get the time to look back or look forward to how Danielle and Colin met and how their marriage is now, and then it makes everything worth it. I don't know. I don't know if that's how you feel about stuff. That's how I feel about it.
Absolutely.
And then and then honestly, when I turn on the TV at night and I see, Booney, winning a natty, or I don't know. I mean, Michaela Infield, ripping one in the Invitational against UCLA, and then because I know her story, right? I know. I could tell a million stories about these college players when they came to the league, and I got to hear their testimonies. I got to hear their emotional, complications. I got to hear what their hobbies are. I got to know who they were as people. And then 2 years, 3 years, a year later, I'm watching them on TV ball out, right? So I guess that's where I get my joy is watching the kids mature. And, we do a lot of other things other than just do softball here. We do, we provide the kids with a lot of opportunities to grow as individuals.
Yep.
And so our goal is to not just send them back in better softball shape to the universities and their programs, but also send them back with more toughness and more security than themselves, and more, expanding their horizons, to be a better teammate and to be a better student, and to be hopefully then, one day after softball, a better husband, better wife, and or whatever, better mother, employee, whatever. So these are the life skills that we just don't do in the 4 to 5 weeks we do here. We do a lot more than just softball.
Yeah.
But I think that's the joy in it for me, is when I see a Grayson Ratcliffe come after knee surgery, or when I spend the night in the hospital with Leanne Matthews in 2020, she broke her leg in 2 places here in the league, and I'm feeling awful that it was a league that I started, and bam, she has a broken leg, and her mom and dad live in North Carolina, and at midnight they're beelining it down here to be with their daughter, who has nobody here but me, and I'm in a hospital room and with her during COVID. screaming all night, and I'm just praying with her. And the next day, I was able to get one of the Pittsburgh Pirates doctors to operate, and to watch her come back. Not only that year, she played 4 years in the league. I mean, at a high level, went to Penn State, went to Houston, and Rutgers, and I'm like, I think that's what does it for me. It's just watching the player go through struggles and then realizing their unbelievable potential. Because as guys, I think we take it like because we still have the baseball league, and I see so many dudes that have so much talent and they're wasting it away. They don't care. It's like, hey, I gotta go. I'm more interested in going partying, and they got a ton of talent, but they give up. And not all of them. It's the workers that make it. But I think in the guy world, it's so spoiled at the pro level. There's so many opportunities, and the girls don't have that. I mean, they do a little bit. And it's getting better every year now, right? But I don't know. I think the girls. I love the fact that they are so wanting it, thirsty for it. I guess I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And at the pro level, they want this too really bad, and so I can only do what I can do, right? I can't control what everybody else does. And I'm just praying that every year we just learn from our goods and bads, failures and successes, and we keep building the next year for the next crop of players that come in. That's what I think about the most, Abby's, really, to be honest with you, is how do I get better tomorrow, not how do I do better tomorrow, not what I did yesterday.
Absolutely.
That is gratifying, because that's all gone. Nobody cares about me a week ago. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're only as good as your last at bat.
Yep. And you talk about the opportunity and how softball players they're so grateful for it, and they want to make the most of it because they didn't have it before. And I can honestly say, just being around the softball community growing up and then seeing it now, everybody's on the same page of growing the sport and making sure that the next generation has as many opportunities as possible. And I think it's incredible to watch firsthand, like to be at games and to see everybody on the same team just really hustling to make this happen is awesome. But I want to ask you, and we'll round out because I know you're ping-ponging all over the place, but
that's why I'm in my car, my office away from the office.
I appreciate you hopping in the car to do this. In 5 years, what does success look like? Not for you, but for the 18-year-old coming out of high school, looking at what's next in their softball career. What does in 5 years, what does that look like?
Man, I hope we're paying these girls 6 figures, and that 18-year-old has a reason not just to go to college and play for Florida State or Florida or Oklahoma. I hope all the colleges are thriving, and I hope the college summer leagues have something to do with that. And I hope the college leagues become like a minor league system, to be honest with you, for professional sports. Professional softball. That's what I really want ACL to be, is a professional minor league system. And then literally you make your college better, you make your program better, you make yourself better. And oh, by the way, you're playing in front of the pros, and the next level is the pros. If we can get to the 6-figure level, which I think in 5 years we can do, I think we got something. That's my goal for the next 5 years.
I love it. Ryan, you were awesome to have on here. I do want to tell everybody the schedule is out. Am I wrong? I'm right?
So the Vibe schedule is out, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The PSL will make the announcement later this week officially.
Yep.
Along with our TV and all kinds of cool stuff coming. But yes, it's all done. Everything is completed. Everything is ready to go. We're just on a kind of a calendar timeline of what we're all doing.
Yep.
Waiting for a few more players to be announced, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. But we're excited. To all your fans out there, May 22nd, tune in. Check our social medias for the Florida Vibe. We'll be sending out the link to True TV. We're going to be live in studio with a couple superstars handling the college selection show for the Florida Vibe. This year, unlike any other year, usually we only have to select 2 or 3, but we had a lot of retirements this year due to marriages and families and jobs. So this year is a little abnormal year for us, but we're going to be selecting 9 amazing college athletes on May 22nd at 7 o'clock on True TV. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of like our draft selection show. It's going to be pretty cool. We have some really neat things planned within it, like the NFL draft. It's going to be pretty entertaining. But I'm excited for the world to see who might be a Florida Vibe player. And we're looking forward to that. So hopefully your audience tunes in May 22nd at 7 o'clock on True TV for that broadcast. And then obviously June 12th is everybody's opening day in the PSL. So we're going to be ready to rock and roll and keep looking for announcements. We have postseason announcement. We have really cool things happening even in Oklahoma City. So there's some cool stuff. Be on the lookout. It's a time to be alive right now in softball. It's a time to be alive.
It absolutely is. The opportunity is everywhere. I wouldn't be here if you guys weren't doing what y'all are doing now. And I know not everybody understands it. I get the social media comments too, but we continue to do things like this to educate people and to let them know this is what this community is about, and the game grows that way. I know you said you haven't really sat down to think about, what you're doing in the space. But I hope you find a few minutes, because I can say, as a former player, as somebody who's building my career around covering softball, you are moving mountains for a lot of young women, and it is so respectable and admirable. So I appreciate you, and I hope you can see that too.
I appreciate you having me on and saying the kind words, but it's not me. Only God can move mountains, not me.
Damn
so
straight.
All glory to that first. And then, look, as long as God wants me to keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep grinding it every day, working hard every day, being obedient every day, trying to be. We're not going to be perfect. Are we going to make a million mistakes? Yep, we are. But that's the good news about repentance and forgiveness. We get to move on and make it better tomorrow. So that's our goal. I really appreciate you having me on. You got a huge following, and appreciate the support. Come down, come watch a game. We're going to be all over the place.
I'm working
We'll be in
on
Atlanta,
it.
Kansas City. Make sure you come to the beach. We live in paradise down here in Sarasota.
And look, I'm from Louisiana, but I live in Michigan now, and I'm over the cold weather. So any excuse to get down there again, I will be all over it. I will definitely try to make my way out there.
Bring the suntan lotion and come hang out with the girls at the beach.
That's what I need. Well, thank you for taking the time today.
Well,
guys,
we appreciate it very much.
Make sure you follow the PSL as well as the Florida Vibe on social media so you can stay up to date with their season and help this thing grow. And make sure you subscribe to Out of Left Field. We've got a lot of great content and a lot of awesome stories and people coming your way. We'll see y'all later.